And our next storyteller is Grant Bowen. And he's actually one of the co-producer of this show, Awkward Teenage Years. And he's a regular storyteller on this show, Awkward Teenage Years. But he also, we've seen him everywhere. We've seen him on The Moth. We've seen him on The Nights of Our Lives. We've seen him on the show um, Adam Wade from New Hampshire show. So we've seen him everywhere. And definitely his solo show, which named A Public Prayer, debuted back in like November. And hopefully it's gonna come back once we all come back and can go outside. So definitely check his Instagram and everything. It's gonna be in the chat. But let's welcome to this digital stage the magnificent Grant Bowen.
Thank you. Anastasia, you're giving me everything I want. So by the end of my 7th grade year, I was looking for a new fine arts class. I had been in the band and I was playing the tuba. So as you can imagine, that got old real quick. And unfortunately, like our middle school didn't really do school plays, and I wasn't really interested in like the visual arts class, like painting, but I've always liked singing. And so I thought, I like singing in the church choir. Why don't I sign up for the concert choir here at school? And plus another selling point was our teacher, Mrs. Hughes, was already a friend of the family. So it was kind of encouraging to know I'd be taking a class with someone I know. That ended up being one of the best decisions I've ever made. Because to this day, Mrs. Hughes is the greatest teacher I've ever had. She taught for the middle school and high school concert choir. So when I joined in 8th grade, I stayed on until I graduated high school. And her class was so much fun. Like she taught us all this stuff about music theory and sight reading. And we always worked on all this beautiful music. Then all our voices came together in these like gorgeous 4-part harmonies and everything. And she inspired us all to work hard and work together, which was really valuable. And I've had good teachers before, but where Mrs. Hughes really went above and beyond was that she had a vested interest in who you were personally. Like she wanted to get to know who you are and help you figure out who you wanted to be. And on that personal level, she was there for me so many times. Like I'd be going through a breakup and she'd set aside time in class to just talk to me one-on-one and let me express how I was feeling. One time we took this big trip to New York and she knew that like moving to New York was my life's dream. So she was showing me all the sights and going, take all this in, look at it and everything. And there was one time where she was there for me in a really unexpected way. At the end of every school year, we did this big choir concert. We'd go through all the music we'd been working on throughout the year, but Miss Hughes made it fun. She was like, if anyone wants to do a solo or a duet, we'll make that part of the concert. You know, anything you want to do, as long as there's no cursing in it, anything you want to sing, just bring me the sheet music or the karaoke track or whatever, and we'll make it part of the show. Now, ever since I've been able to draw breath, I've been a Broadway nerd. It's been my obsession. I'd be in the car, like blasting cast albums, or I'd constantly be looking for like new shows to discover. In senior year, I had just discovered the musical My Fair Lady, and I really fell in love with the song On the Street Where You Live. Now, if you haven't heard it, it's a beautiful song, these soaring notes and melodies, and it's this big romantic ballad about this guy who he's fallen in love with this girl, and he is willing to wait out on the street in front of her house so he can see her again. And if there's one thing I knew in high school, it's that stalking was romantic. So I was really excited about this song, and I thought, I know I can sing this well, I know I can have fun with it, I should talk to Miss Hughes about doing it in the concert. And then I brought it up to my parents later, and my parents, offhanded, just not making a big, like just kind of went, you know, you're always singing this Broadway stuff. Have you ever thought about singing something else? Now, they said it as casually as I just said it, But in my anxiety-ridden, hormonal teenage brain, it sounded like they were saying, we're sick of this Broadway stuff. Sing something else, for God's sake. So I got really self-conscious about it. I was like, maybe people are sick of the Broadway stuff. Maybe I should sing something else. So I started thinking about it. It's like, what else do I like? Well, I like classic rock, and I love Queen. So maybe I should sing something from Queen. Now, as you've probably figured out, I don't sound anything like Freddie Mercury. But the one song I found that was kind of comfortable in my voice was Crazy Little Thing Called Love. And it's a nice song. It's a fun song, but it's like, it kind of stays in one mode. And it doesn't really go anywhere because like half of Queen's songs, the lyrics are utter nonsense. So I'm thinking, I'm second guessing. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, is this really the song I'm going to sing? And then later in the week, I'm talking to Miss Hughes, and she's like, hey, the concert's coming up. Are you going to do another solo? And I just confide in her. I'm like, look, I was thinking of singing On the Street Where You Live, but then my parents said something that maybe I should sing something else. And now I'm looking at this Queen song and I don't really know. And she stops me and she goes, is On the Street Where You Live what you really want to sing? And to my surprise, without hesitation, I went, yes. And she goes, then you should sing it. Never let anyone make you feel bad about what you want to do, especially if you're passionate about it. And in that moment of her telling me that, I just remember feeling so seen. Like not only did someone get me, but she knew who I wanted to be, and she was telling me it was okay. So I went home later that day, and I'm talking to my parents, and I went, I've been thinking about it, and I really think I am going to sing On the Street Where You Live. And my parents went, okay, that's fine. And I just felt embarrassed that I realized they didn't really care in the first place. So night of the concert comes. It's time for my solo. I hand Miss Hughes the sheet music. I take center stage. I look to her at the piano to tell her I'm ready. And she gives me this look that tells me that she's proud of me and that she's in my corner. And I just remember standing on that stage in front of that audience as I sang the words, people stop and stare, they don't bother me, because there's nowhere else on earth that I would rather be. Thank you. Uh-oh, Anastasia, we can't hear you.
There you are.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Hey.
Amazing, amazing story.